In this video we're going to take a look at composition of functions, or putting a function inside another function. So in this question we're given f of x is equal to 3x minus 1 and g of x is equal to 2x plus 4, and they're asking us to calculate the value of f g of 2. Now what that means is we're going to get g of 2 and we're going to feed it back in to f. Alright, so we're going to get g of 2 first. So g of x, if I just colour this purple here, g of x is normally going to be 2x plus 4. But we're not looking for g of x in this scenario, we're looking for g of 2. So g of 2, that notation means take out x in the function, so it no longer depends solely on x. We're now looking at specifically the point when we're at the number 2. And if I put that in, I'm going to get 2 instead of x. I'm going to put 2, and then I'm going to put plus 4. And then that's 2 by 2, which is 4, plus 4, which then is going to give me 8. So the value of g of 2, which is this guy, being fed back into f, we're going to just feed in the number 8. So I'm putting 8 back into f, which is here now. So while the notation looks extra complicated and it looks like there's a lot going on, it actually just means put 2 into g and put g into f. And you can do that in stages. So I'm going to get f of g of 2. So f of g of 2, so I know what g of 2, what the output of that function was. I know it was 8, so into that I'm going to then put, instead of x, I'm going to put the g of 2, which was 8. So there it is. So I'm going to have 3 by 8, which is 24. 24 minus 1 is going to give me 23. And there's my final answer for that one. The next one then said f3, so that means f of 3 subbed back in to f. So first thing I would do is find out f of 3. So f of 3 here is going to be, if I get the f of x function, which depends on x right now, I'm going to say, well, I know at this specific point that I'm interested in, x is 3. So I've got my 3, and then instead of the x, I'm going to put 3 minus 1, and when I do that calculation out, I'm going to get 3 by 3, which is 9, minus 1, which is equal to 8. The next thing I'm going to do is put that back in to f of x. So the output of that, I'm going to feed it back in through f, the function again. So I'm going to go again, 3 by 8, minus 1, and I'm going to get 24 minus 1, which is 23 again. So that's not too complicated. It's just about taking your time, reading and understanding the language and the symbols that they're using and what they mean. It's just translating what they mean and putting it together bit by bit. The next part then said find g f of x. So we're going to get f of x, and every time we see x in the function g of x, I'm going to replace it with f of x. So gx is the first thing I would write down there. So we can write it into the boxes here for ourselves. G of x is equal to 2x plus 4. So I have 2x plus 4. And then I'm putting into that, instead of x, I'm actually feeding in the function f of x into those two places there. Now f of x was a function itself. F of x was 3x minus 1. So instead of that x there in g of x, I'm actually going to replace it with 3x minus 1. So really what I'm getting here is I'm getting g of f of x, and I'm going to plug in, instead of having the x in g of x, I now know what the input is, and it's going to be our f of x. Our input's going to be the 3x minus 1. So I'm going to have 2, and the input is 3x minus 1. And then I'm going to have plus 4. And the last step then here is then to just tidy that all up. So I'm going to tidy it up by multiplying it out. I'm going to have 2 by 3x is 6x. I'm going to have 2 by minus 1, which gives me minus 2. And then I've got plus 4 at the end. Group your like terms together. And then I'm going to have 6x minus 2 plus 4 is going to give me plus 2. And that's all that it is. If I was to get the function f of x and then have that feed into g of x, what would it be? And it's just a little bit of algebra. That's all it is. Once I understand the notation of what that is asking me to do, it's just a little bit of algebra after that. Here we have the 2020 exam paper, and it's asking us about composite functions. So they're saying to investigate if g of x into f is the same as f of x into g. So what we're going to do, I like to use colours, so I'm going to colour f of x in blue, and I'm going to colour g of x in pink, and I'm going to be subbing g of x into f of x. So into f of x, every time that I see x, I'm going to replace it with what g of x is. So here I have f of x first. I would write that down for myself. F of x is equal to 6x minus 5, and then I'm going to be putting into that, instead of where I have the x, I'm going to replace it with what g of x is. So instead of 6x, I'm now going to be filling in what g of x is, which is x plus 5 all over 6. So I'm going to have here g of x, just to show that I'm filling that in, and then I'm going to put here x plus 5 all over 6. And then I'm going to do that sum there. I'm going to multiply it out. If I multiply by 6 and then divide by 6, I actually undo the process. So I'm doing it, I'm multiplying it, and I'm undoing it, dividing by 6. And what I'm left with then is x plus 5 from that, and then minus 5 from the original. And if I do that, then I'm going to have it's equal to x, because plus 5 minus 5, it's doing and undoing. In the other scenario, we're being asked to investigate g of x if we were to put f of x into that. So I'm going to have g of x is equal to x plus 5 all over 6. And then what would happen if I had, instead of g of x, what would happen there if I was to replace the x with f of x? So instead of having x plus 5, I have something plus 5 all over 6. I'm now going to have 6x minus 5 going in there, because that's what f of x was. So I'm filling in every time that I saw the x, replace it with f of x. Now on top here, I'm going to have minus 5 plus 5, and then that does something, adding the 5, and then taking away the 5 undoes it. So doing and undoing, and then I'm going to have then 6x all over 6. If I have 6x and I divide it by 6, then I'm going to do it. I'm going to multiply by 6 and then undo it by dividing by 6. So nothing's happened. It's just x on its own. And that's our final answer. So were those two equal to each other? They are. So subbing f of x subbing f of x into g and g of x into f, in this scenario, it did work out. And you might see why if you look closer at the question.